Okay, we are recording. So, the first thing we're going to do here is I'm going to clear out my workspace so that we can start from scratch. Of course, I am working in Effects Generator. So I'm going to right click below the workspace there, and I'm just going to say New Project. Ask me if I want to save changes to this current project. I'm going to say no. And here is the default 4x4 grid that comes up whenever you open this application. So the first thing I'm going to do here, and this is program video, is usually how this is mapped. Since I'm going to be working with preview and aux, I'm going to go ahead and turn on texture mapping so that I know kind of which box is which. So if you click on where it says wireframe down below there, you get an opportunity to choose texture mapping. And that will bring you this oval, which you're probably seeing on the camera and voice section of this presentation as well. That is what is currently selected on program in the switcher interface. So this basically is just telling me that this 3D object has program mapped onto it. The first thing I'm going to do is change that. So I'm going to right click on it and we're going to go to properties. And once this properties panel comes up, you're going to see a texture settings option. You can click on that, and here's your opportunity right here to change what is mapped in terms of live video onto these 3D objects, and this works for any object. We're going to go ahead and set this to preview, okay, which immediately shows up with the triangle. Now, the next step is to scale this down. So, because I am wanting to do a picture-in-picture here, I'm going to go ahead and scale it down. I just click on Scale. And I'm a big fan of using the Control-Click method to keep everything locked. In other words, if I hold down Control, it will lock the axis. So I've scaled it down to appropriate picture-in-picture size. And now I can position it by coming back over here to this pink modifier section. This is for the object, and I can choose move, set it wherever. Now a little tip, I can actually save this object out and then open it again if I like the size of it and roughly the position. You can do that by dragging and dropping this little guy right down here in this corner out into a bin. So I've just it over there, and then I'll close this, and it's sitting probably right here. You can see I've done that before. The benefit of that is if I double click on it, it will open another one up, and I can just move that down. So it saves me, just a bit of a step. So all I really need to do now is adjust the texture map here of this one. So I'm going to do that by right-clicking, going to Properties, Texture Settings, and this one we're going to set for aux, but I can use the aux bus. Okay. Now, in this first one, it's just going to be a basic picture-in-picture that comes on to reveal two sources on the left-hand side. This black area that you see in the background is going to be program video. So all we need to do is go into the Effect Properties panel, and let's adjust our time. Since there is no animation to this effect, I'm just going to go ahead and make it 1 frame, which is currently what I've set for, but if it's not in your, type in value that you want. I am going to set a pause point on the timeline so that it will last as long as I want it to be up. Just by clicking on this, it creates a 1 frame loop, which is effectively a pause on the timeline. And that's it. I mean, I'm just warping. There's no graphic information to this. There cannot be when you're working with auxiliary. I do not need to turn on anything else. This is not a transition. If you wanted it to be, it could be. If you turn transition on, it would, when you go to stop the effect, it would take preview source full screen. There's no way to assign it to take aux full screen by using just this transition method. So there we go. Time to make the effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and say make effect, and you'll see this render box come up, and it's done. And once it is done, you can save it out. Basically, you could rename it if you want to here. Call this, I don't know, pip. Yeah, whenever you're doing a warp effect, if there is no object that has program assigned to it, it is assumed that the background is program. Question. You can also hit the auto button here if you want, and it will, if you are connected to a globecaster, you will see the effect run on. Uh-huh. So that's a very basic example of this effect. You know, moving forward, you could do animation, you know, flying boxes in, dissolving them up. You can actually have the whole thing dissolve in after the fact as well, and that's kind of the quickest way to add a dissolve for these two objects. I'll show you how that works. I'm just going to go pop into the switcher application real quick, which I have running in the background. And I'm going to load that effect. So I'm going to go to where it is, which I believe is in the FX folder. Here it is, right, or here it is, pip. So I'll double click to load the effect to make sure that it's loaded in here. Even though when I hit the auto button it was already there, I want to make sure that I assign it to this versus the temporary file that was running earlier. So I've loaded that up. Now I'm going to right click on it and go to properties. And here's my opportunity to add a fade in and fade out value for this effect. So I can set it for whatever I want. I'm just going to set it for, I don't know, 15 frames on the in, 15 frames on the out. Now I can take a look at it if I want to. So you can see it fading up and fading down. That. Of course, I can control what's in these boxes at this point in the switcher just by clicking around on different sources. Very easy, very easy. So once I'm done, I would just hit save over original file over here in this effect properties window if I liked that fade, which will add that value to this pip box. As a matter of fact, while I'm running this pip box, if I wanted to, I know that the top is supposed to be preview, so let's make sure that's up there. The bottom is aux. Okay. I can also, while this window is open, hit set PyCon, make it look like what I have running here. And I got these images, by the way, the program, the preview, and the aux sort of default images like we saw earlier. I got those in the stills, the bins, stills test folder. Okay, you're going to see in here we have a 720 by 46 version of that. So what I did was I assigned these by dragging and dropping them each onto their appropriate bus. So the oval represents program, triangle represents preview, and the color bars represent aux. That just kind of keeps it, along with all of our stock effects. I don't know if you've noticed, but in our sampler folder, you see a lot of reoccurring themes here with these ovals and triangles. Once you're done with that, you hit set PyCon and save over original file again. And now my pip effect, which is located in my PFX folder projects, will look like that. Okay, so that's essentially how that works. I don't know if you've ventured into any of the animation stuff yet. Try Quick is basically used, and it will ignore any lighting information in the room. So if you ever looked at the director mode here, I just went into director mode down here. There's lighting in the room, and it comes with one star light, of course. You can add spots and all that good stuff. Try quick will basically just ignore that and give everything sort of a default value, full. So. Yes, adding a third warp engine to a globecaster would give you the opportunity to, basically have three warped images or scaled images. The downside is you can't have any graphic data, or it'll be just black, basically. So if I were to build this effect right now, I do not have three warps in my system as we speak, but when I ran the effect, this is what it would look like. Exactly. You'd have three sources scaled back, but there's no opportunity within this program to add, say, a layer for graphics like this. Now there would be an opportunity to do that using your a second DSK. So if your system has two DSK layers in it, okay, what you could do is you could run a DSK over top of, this effect, cutting holes in the DSK to reveal these sources. But you just have to synchronize running the effect, which isn't hard. I mean, you just basically would load the effect and load the DSK, have them both selected, and then hit auto. But yeah, you could actually add a third DSK. Yeah, that's that. Thanks for asking. Clearly I didn't have one of these made yet, so it's good.